Okay, in this video I want to talk about auto-enrollment, pension auto-enrollment. It's coming January 2026. Employers and employees should be aware of what's involved, and let's have a look at that. So who does auto-enrollment apply to? All employees over the age of 23 and under the age of 60. You can opt in if you're outside of these ages, but it applies to employees who are over 23 and under the age of 60. And they are earning 20,000 euros from all employments per annum. So 20,000 euros is the benchmark. If you are earning at least 20,000 euros per annum from all employments and you're aged between 23 and 60, well then you will be auto-enrolled in the new pension arrangement organised by the state. That's assuming that you're not exempt. How would you be exempt? You'd be exempt if you're actually in an occupational pension or a PRA scheme already. But if you're not, if you don't have a pension, the whole idea of this is to ensure that employees do end up in pensions. So if you're not currently making pension contributions via monthly payroll in your workplace, then you will be automatically enrolled. You can, however, opt out after 6 months and you'll get a refund of your own contributions. The employer contributions and the state contributions will remain, but you do get a refund of your own contributions. You can suspend it after 6 months for a minimum of 1 year, maximum of 2 years, and you'll be re-enrolled every 2 years. So you can opt out, but you'll be re-enrolled every 2 years, and the whole idea of this is that eventually certainly the experience apparently in the UK is that people will just stay in, and the whole idea obviously is that the state is concerned about making provision for future people getting older, demographics, pensions and so on and so forth. Many people not having pensions. So if you don't have one, this is the whole idea of this auto-enrollment pension scheme. And you can be in exempt employment. You're in exempt employment if you are in a pension already. So if you're in a private pension, occupational pension, PRSA, then you're not auto-enrolled. However, otherwise you are. And as I say, if you're over 23, under 60, and you're earning over 20 grand a year, well then you're auto-enrolled. When is it going to take place? It's going to take place in January 2026. So from an employer's perspective, I understand from next week, early December, you'll be able to go to the portal created by the state, created by the pensions auto-enrollment body, and sign up as an employer. So how are you auto-enrolled? Well, the auto-enroll body will utilise a 13-week look back on pay. In other words, they'll look at the payroll for September, October, November 2025, and they will calculate people or see the people who are earning over 5 grand over these 3 months, and 5 grand over these 3 months then is 20 grand annually, 20,000 euros per annum, and therefore these people are in scope and they will be automatically enrolled, and the data will be used in January 2026 for inclusion, but it'll be looking back, as I say, at payroll for September, October, November 2025. When an employee joins a pension and contributes via payroll, he is deemed exempt. So as I say, if you're in a PRSA or occupational pension, well then you're exempt. How will all of this work? The automatic the auto-enrollment system rather, will pick this up from revenue and set the automatic or the auto-enrollment payment notification to 0 if you are already in a pension. But if you're not in a pension scheme, well then you'll be auto-enrolled. Now, it is possible that in December 2025 you might have somebody joining a pension perhaps in December, a private pension, and the auto-enrollment may pick up the December 2025 joiners if returned to revenue in time. If they're not returned to revenue in time, well then there is a mechanism for a refund of any incorrectly enrolled or double collection months. So it is possible that this month you might decide you're going to take out a pension or private pension or join the company pension scheme, and it may be too late to have notified, or it may not be notified to revenue in time, and you may be auto-enrolled without incorrectly, you will get a refund. You're entitled to a refund. So what does the employer have to do at this stage in relation to auto-enrolment? If you have a pension already in your workplace, in your business, then and with 100% participation, you don't have to do anything. The best practice, however, is to sign up to the Auto-Enrolment Employer Portal, which, as I say, is available from early December 2025. Sign up doesn't take very long. You do have to register key contacts and payroll agents. You complete a direct debit mandate to enable auto collections. You view the list of included employees, you download draft communications to issue those to be included, and you request a refund for those included who have a pension, who have joined a pension already. The auto-enrolment should interface directly with payroll software in the same way as Revenue Commissioners, RPN, and that is the way it is supposed to work. So an employer at this stage needs to consider, do you have a pension scheme, an occupational pension scheme or PRSA already? If voluntary, have you communicated that it is available? Because if employees, only a certain percentage of employees have joined your pension, well then they will be auto-enrolled in the state scheme if they don't join. And as an employer, it's important that you review how many employees are in scope for auto-enrolment. So you look at those aged between 23 and 60 and earning over €20,000 per annum, and obviously who are not in a pension scheme already. One important thing to benefit or to mention and to be aware of, and if employees are asking you any questions about this and the difference between the state pension and the private pension, is the question of the rate at which you're paying tax. If you're a 20% versus 40% taxpayer, it can make a significant difference to be in a private pension versus the state pension, because the state pension doesn't give you the same tax break as the private pension will, and that's particularly important for the higher earners, those paying tax at 40%. So the key differences between the auto-enrolled pension that you're going to end up in if you're not in a private pension are as follows. In relation to retirement age, there's no option to retire early with the auto-enrolled pension. Members' funds are locked in until they are 66, and that'll be older if the retirement age changes. On the other hand, an occupational pension or a PRSA scheme, the employer can choose a normal retirement age, and members can retire early once they reach the age of 50. Secondly, the question of impact on take-home pay. Employee gross contributions are fully taken from their after-tax pay, as no tax relief applies in relation to the state pension. So that's important because they are paying from after-tax pay and they're getting no tax break, whereas the occupational pension scheme that you might have, or a PRSA scheme, the employee cost impact is reduced due to the tax relief you're going to get, because it is calculated on the basis of the gross pay. Contributing fully rigid contribution structure. So there's a rigid contribution structure in relation to the state pension, the auto-enrolled pension, whereas the other pension scheme, private pension schemes and PRSAs, have flexibility on the rate of member and employer contributions, and also in relation to additional voluntary contributions. They can also be made, they can't be made in the state scheme. The investment selection then in the auto-enrolled scheme will have a very limited range of funds, 3 of them apparently, whereas there'll be a wider range of fund options available in a private scheme. In relation to advice and contact then for the auto-enrolled state scheme, there's websites and there's a telephone and web chat and so on. There'll be a portal or a website where you can get information. If you're in a private scheme, well then obviously you can speak to the pension provider. And retirement options then, retirement options in the state scheme, the auto-enrolled scheme, 25% lump sum balance to approved retirement fund, no scheme transfers in or out, whereas in a private scheme, the occupational pension scheme or a PRSA, you have a 25% lump sum balance to approved retirement fund, or at other times final remuneration balance can be changed. transfers to other schemes, buyout benefits, other jurisdictions and so on. So there is benefits to being a member of a private scheme and either a pension, an occupational pension scheme in the workplace, or a PRSA scheme, or, as I say, for people who are not in pensions, then you're looking at this state scheme. So just to be clear about the implications for the employees under the auto-enrolled state scheme, no early retirement is possible. It's age 66 and that's it. No additional voluntary contributions are possible. You can't fund it as you may wish to, and there are certain times obviously that a person might wish to make additional contributions to their pension for tax reasons. There's a reduced fund choice. It's not currently possible to transfer out of Ireland with the auto-enrolled scheme, and then there are poorer levels of tax relief for the state scheme versus the private scheme. So if you're a 40% earner, well then you're probably better off in the private pension scheme. What are the contributions then in this auto-enrolled state scheme, this pension scheme? In years 1 to 3, the employer will pay 1.5%. The employee will pay 1.5%, and the state will pay 0.5%, and that will be a total of 3.5%. In years 4 to 6, the employer pays 3%, the employee pays 3%, and the state will pay 1%. That will be 7%. Then in years 7 to 9, the employer pays 4.5%, the employee pays 4.5%, the state pays 1.5%. That's bringing up the total contributions to the auto-enrolled state scheme to 10.5%. And then in years 10, the employer pays 6%, the employee pays 6%, the state pays 2%, so that's 14%. And the remainder contributions are based on total emoluments from all employments, except for exempt employment. Exempt employment, remember, is where you would be in a private pension scheme already. The limit is 80,000 per annum, other than from exempt employments. That's in relation to the state scheme, and it applies to all contributions. So that's a sort of an overview of this auto-enrolment pension scheme. It's useful to know, it's useful to understand, especially for employers and indeed employees. You'll be able to register as an employer on the website, apparently the auto-enrolment website, pension website, in the first week of, or from the first week of December, and it's due to commence then in January. So that's the story. I hope you find the video useful. The information in this now I'm relying on from a presentation, a very useful presentation made to the Law Society by Arrakis insurance brokers. They are a nationwide team of almost 800, 16 offices throughout the country. Arrakis made a very useful, very beneficial presentation to the Law Society or to the members, solicitors and so on, to help us just understand what's coming down the tracks. And obviously solicitors are concerned not just to be able to advise employer clients, but also solicitors are employers themselves, and solicitors are employees too. So that's the position in relation to this auto-enrollment pension scheme that's coming in. Hope you find the video useful. If you do, I would appreciate if you hit the thumbs up button down below, and I would ask you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks a lot.